It may seem like hyperbole to say that the Onewheel has changed my life. I got my first Onewheel when Future Motion announced the Pine X and GT. Since then, I've gone over 1,000 miles on my Pine X and I quickly became obsessed. In this video, we will dive into various tests and see if the new GT lives up to the marketing and justifies its hefty price tag. This bundle here was $2,650 with tax, making it $1,000 more than my Pine X. I will also cover the reliability of the board as well as the controversy surrounding the rocky release of the GT and the anti-right to repair measures taken by Future Motion. First, let's start with the unboxing. Included in the GT Free Ride bundle, you get fenders, bumpers, rail guards, and the hypercharger, which cuts the charge time to just 90 minutes. Make sure to save your box though, because it's only a matter of time before you'll have to send your board back to Future Motion. They are the only official way that you can get your board repaired. The GT boasts a top speed of 20 miles an hour, and as you hit 19.5 miles an hour, the board will gradually tilt backwards. This pushback is the board's way of letting you know that you've reached the limits and you need to slow down. The Pine and Pine X have very aggressive and noticeable pushback that will kick in a few miles an hour before the rated top speed. The GT pushback got a major improvement in the 6.1.0 firmware update that came out on April 22nd. So if you're watching other reviews posted before then, know that the firmware update massively changed and improved how the board rides and the characteristics of pushback. I really like the feeling of the pushback on the GT. It is gradual rather than hitting a hard wall. You definitely feel it, but it doesn't feel like it's trying to buck you off like the Pine X. It actually feels nice to ride at 19 and 20 at the limit of the board, whereas on the Pine X, it's really trying to get you to slow down at 16.5 when it's rated for 18. That said, one-wheeling isn't all about the speed. It's about the feeling of the board. It's such a unique feeling to be able to float over a variety of terrain. The GT claims to have up to 50% more motor torque than the XR. It definitely has more torque, and I feel much more confident climbing hills. I also really love the new safety beep feature for climbing hills. It will beep as you hit max motor torque, which helps you better understand the limits of the board and helps you to not nosedive because it gives you a clear indication of when you need to lean back. The GT has a new tire design from Future Motion, and it's been a bit controversial among the community. Its harder durometer makes it a long-lasting tire, but it also makes it less forgiving, especially on trails. Personally, I really like the tire, and I think most people will too. It's a great middle ground between the Pine and XR tires. It has that high-speed stability and carvability due to its flat spot in the middle and the rounded edges. The treaded tire also shines in loose dirt and sandy terrain. The tire maintains traction and control. I think some don't like it because it can be a bit bouncy on the trails, again because of that harder rubber and its reduced sidewall height. You do sacrifice a bit of range though if you opt for the treaded tire, but I always felt that I've had more than enough. It's nice to be able to tackle more types of terrain with more confidence than you would have with a slick tire. But if you're looking for the smoothest possible ride, more range, and you ride mostly streets, the slick is still a great option. If you don't like the tire, the Float Life is developing their own tire for the GT called the Enduro. It's already available for the XR and people are loving it. It should be out within a few months, and I think it'll provide people with another option if they really don't like their GT tire. The new concave foot pads and grip tape are really nice. This is a great improvement over previous Onewheels. I've done over 400 miles on this board and the grip tape has really maintained its grippiness, and I can't say the same for my Pine. The grip tape is more coarse and it really does its job. I also do like the concave foot pads. I like that they're bigger. I do feel like it helps your feet stay on better. I have seen though in the community people don't like that it comes up to a point. I bet they did this for looks, but it probably would have been the perfect foot pad if they reduced the sharpness of these edges a little bit. But for me, it really didn't bother me. I think it's more gonna bother people with either giant feet or who are doing a lot of tricks. Another improvement of the GT are the headlights. They're now 300% brighter. Riding at night is a ton of fun, and the bright lights are great for being seen, but I'd still bring a flashlight for safety. You also have an option in the app to adjust the brightness or turn it off entirely. Let's talk about range. The range of any electric vehicle is extremely important and is likely the reason the GT is priced so high. So does it live up to its claims? During my rides, I found that I would get a bit less than the quoted range. There are a lot of factors that affect this, but I weigh about 170 pounds and I ride a bit aggressively with about 70% streets and 30% grass and trails on my rides. Unless you are very light and you're riding medium speed on streets, I don't think most people will achieve the quoted 32 miles at the top end. 20 to 28 miles is probably more realistic. Just because the battery capacity has been doubled doesn't mean that in real life usage, you're getting double the range. This is because while riding, you'll push the board harder and use more of the available torque, thus using more battery. The GT has 6 preset ride modes and 1 customizable mode. These modes can adjust the feel and performance of the board for different riding styles and terrain. Flow and Highline are my favorite modes because you have full access to that 20 miles an hour of speed, but at differing levels of aggressiveness. Highline and Apex are much more aggressive and the board will be quicker to bring itself to level. This also makes the board feel stiffer and the board won't tilt as much. I think that's why a lot of people will like Flow because it makes the board feel more loose. Highline is an excellent default mode, balancing power and stability with carvability. Unfortunately, at the time of filming, custom shaping still hasn't been finished, so we're still waiting for that in a software update. It is a bit disappointing to still have an unfinished product. I do really like the app and I found it to be very reliable to track your rides and stats. I also like that it tracks info along with the ride. I do think they could improve the app in a few ways. I'd love to see some sort of anti-theft mechanism where the serial of your board is associated with your account and you could mark your board as stolen. It would also be cool if they added custom shaping modes to the Pint, but I think Future Motion is keeping that as a flagship feature. A lot of people in the community love to mod their boards. As of the time of writing of this video, there are limited mods available for the GT. However, third-party companies like the Float Life and Craft and Ride have been developing and releasing new GT products. It's just a matter of time before there's a whole marketplace of items for the GT. The Onewheel GT manual says that if you mod your board, you'll void your warranty. However, there was a video statement from the CEO of Future Motion saying that they are in support of mods.
One of the most amazing things to see is the extent to which people have customized their Onewheels. Some of those are functional, some of those are, aesthetic, and I think that's really amazing. I think there's a misconception that, we are totally opposed.
It's unclear what the real truth is at the moment, but if you had to send your board back, you should take off your third-party parts. You might not get them back. Currently, the only people who can reliably fix your board are the technicians at Future Motion in California. They also won't work on boards that have modifications to the motor, board, or controller. While there are some third-party repair shops that are very good, this is a brand new board with proprietary parts, so repair options will be limited. Also, Future Motion hasn't released any information about the board, so the community has to learn how to fix it with trial and error. Time will tell how reliable the GT will be. I've ridden about 400 miles and it hasn't given me any issues so far. However, the rollout for the GT has been extremely rocky. Many people received boards that were dead on arrival, wouldn't turn on, defective foot pads, and it was extremely sensitive to mildly cold weather. A massive problem was ghosting, which is caused by the sensor not disengaging after you get off the board, causing it to become a 35-pound danger to everyone around you as it propels itself at full speed uncontrollably. Future Motion has claimed to do improved quality assurance on the foot pads, and they've made firmware adjustments to reduce the likelihood of ghosting. They've also said if any owner experiences their sensor sticking or some sort of ghosting, they will send you a new foot pad. I think Future Motion has fixed the ghosting issue. I don't think it's something that most people have to worry about. They did release an update and I think that really helped because I've been following the Facebook groups and Reddit and the posts about ghosting have just disappeared. Due to the videos from Louis Rossman, Future Motion has been under the spotlight for their anti-consumer, anti-right to repair decision to booby-trap the BMS of the board. If you disconnect your battery at all, these boards will brick themselves, and it will force you to send it back to Future Motion. This makes it impossible for you to replace the battery yourself, even if you somehow got another OEM battery. Future Motion claims this is an issue of safety. However, the FTC has ruled that this isn't a valid argument against users being able to replace their own batteries. Yet, Future Motion does it anyway. This battery, like all batteries, will eventually lose its power and range, and you'll have no choice but to pay shipping and send it to California, and pay for labor and the cost of a replacement of the battery, which Future Motion has a monopoly over.
It can be time-consuming and expensive to get a repair done with our current model.
Now, Future Motion did say in their statement that they are considering a distributed service model. However, there have been no details or a timeline, so don't plan on being able to get your board service at a local authorized Future Motion shop anytime soon. This behavior to lock the user from replacing their own battery is illegal, and all GT owners should report this to the FTC. I've left resources and a script that you can use below in the description. It only takes a few minutes, and getting the FTC involved is the best chance the community has in getting this changed. For some people, this issue is enough to not buy the board, and that's fully understandable. If you do buy this and plan to keep it for a while, you gotta accept the fact that it's likely gonna have to make a trip back to California sometime, and it's gonna be gone a few weeks, and you're gonna have to pay for it. That is, unless it's under warranty. These issues are real and should be addressed. Owners should have the right to repair the devices that they own. Despite these issues, I can still recommend the Onewheel GT. This product is truly an evolution and improvement over the boards that came before it. The increased motor torque really does have many positive benefits on how the board rides and its safety. The design is also vastly improved and streamlined. The extended range allows for long trips and more time on the trails. This equates to more exploration and fun. The increased speed is so much fun. It's awesome to be able to comfortably cruise right at the speed limit for the board and even push past it a bit if you're experienced. While the quality issues upon release are concerning, Future Motion has been repairing and even replacing some boards. Also, the new firmware revisions fixed a lot of the early issues that plagued the very first boards that were released. My board has worked flawlessly, and I'm so pleased with my purchase. If you plan on going on long rides and you want the most the sport has to offer, this board might be for you. My wife and I have thoroughly enjoyed one-wheeling together. She now rides the Pine X all the time. She even rides it to work, and it's just a blast to be able to ride together. And it's been so great for our mental health and just great activity just to get outside and explore. The Onewheel makes it so easy to get around places. Even though the GT is bigger and heavier, it's still plenty portable, and I still take it everywhere. It always lives in my car. So is this board worth $1,000 more than a Pine X or maybe a used XR? That's hard to say. It depends who you are. Now, I am happy with this purchase. However, if you're just getting into the sport, you're not really sure how much you're gonna ride, you're gonna be really well served with a Pine X or a used XR. But if you really want the best the sport has to offer, then this is the board for you, especially if you weigh more or you see yourself maybe going on a lot of trails. This board is gonna ride more confidently in those scenarios because of the extra power and the extra range you have. Thanks for watching my video. If you'd like to see more, leave a like or drop a comment. Also, I've left links below for the gear I used in this review and also some safety gear, which I can highly recommend.